All right, everybody, we are back with our Friday review. So glad you could join me here today. Excited about today's show because I want to reintroduce a few things into my own wellness-based protocol that I'm going to share with you. I've got some great research, especially if you know someone who may be dealing with a certain type of cancer. I'll talk about that here today. And a big win for the natural health community, hopefully taking place in just a few weeks. So all of that and much more kicking off on today's show. I always love to begin with a little bit of a week in review. So if you missed any of the shows, let's do a quick recap. On Monday, we went Take This Challenge Now. It's taking charge of your life. I shared with you exactly how to set it up, from the Friday night review to the Sunday night focus moment, and then letting that lay out through your entire week. If you're really looking to hit your next level of potential, hitting bigger goals than what you've achieved right now, you know that there's more for you in this life. Check out that show. That was episode 3328. All right, on Tuesday's show, a lot of questions I've been getting on nicotine. So I went over, always from an unbiased perspective. Here's what the research says on the pros and cons of nicotine. I go over that, who it's right for, who it may not be right for. That's 3329. On Wednesday's show, I went over why it's so easy to overeat and not be able to hit your body transformation goals. I shared a personal story from inside my private clientele. I think you'll relate to it. I know that I have in the past, and many people struggling to lose the weight that they want, transform their body, especially around the middle. I go over that. That was episode 3330. And then 3331, yesterday's show, was how to reduce your heart disease right now by 25 to 35%. Legitimate studies, pretty amazing studies. It was 37 different studies in all that was analyzed, well over 250,000 people. And what they found was substituting certain foods for others got huge results. So I shared that with you on yesterday's show. Today, all the show notes will be at StephenCabral.com/3332. 33332 is the show for today. Once we start getting the thousands, it's not as easy. But all right. And then, of course, all previous shows are at StephenCabral.com/podcasts. All 3,000 plus. You can search for your answers right there in the search box. Okay. So what I want to go over here today, a couple of things I'm adding, either brand new or I've done them before and they're coming back into my own wellness-based protocols. So a lot has been talked about with a product called BP157. If you haven't heard about it before, it is a peptide that stands for Body Protection Compound 157. And what it does is actually derived from a gastric protein, and it's known for healing and regenerating certain parts of the body. So I am using this because I always like to be able to use a product before I can recommend it or before I do recommend it to individuals, and it has to be out long enough where there's a good amount of research. Now, I will say that before I recommend it widely or for longer term use, I want to see this in humans clinical studies that have gone on for quite some time. There are very few great human clinical trials. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't use it, but what it means is that, okay, we got good results with mice. We got good results in other animal-based studies. Doesn't seem to be any side effects, but it doesn't mean to just go overboard and go wild with a lot of these peptides since we don't have the long-term evidence there. So what I like to do is say, okay, what are the typical trials or what are the typical use periods look like? About 4 to 8 weeks, sometimes up to 12 weeks. Okay. So what am I looking at? Here's what BP157 can do. Help with tissue repair. So muscles, tendons, joints. There's another compound that I'll talk about in the future that's probably even a little bit better than BP157 at the muscles, tissues, joints, but it can be a great one. Gut health. It can help. They've used it specifically with Crohn's, colitis, but it can help with any inflammatory condition in the gut and also with ulcers as well. I do have to give you my disclaimer now. I'm not providing any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, or medical diagnosis, of course. Help with overall inflammation and recovery in the body. And then there seems to be some neuroprotective effects that may help with the brain as well. So it is often used intravenously or typically by injection. I am using the oral form, which isn't as great for the total body repair, but it is better for the gut-based repair. Now, I'm using this because if you remember my story, that growing up as a child, at least 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year, we used a Z-Pak or amoxicillin, azithromycin or amoxicillin. For coughs and colds, that's what our general practitioner, pediatrician gave my mom to give to us. So we always were taking antibiotics. Here's the other issue. When I was 14 years old, 15, 16, and 17, I was put on amoxicillin. And I would take that twice a day. We had the big jug capsules of that we would get at the pharmacy. And so if you look at it, that's about what? 750 or so to 800 capsules per year. And I did that for almost 4 years. I took over 3,000 capsules of amoxicillin. Now, my dermatologist put me on it for acne back when I was a teenager. Didn't talk to me about my diet. Didn't talk to me about my, skincare routine. Didn't talk to me about anything except, acne, here's what I prescribe. What that did was it decimated my immune system and it decimated my overall digestive system. I ended up with massive SIBO, candida overgrowth. I had an H. pylori infection, which was unknown, massive gut permeability that led to autoimmune issues and much more. So not good, right? But I didn't know it at the time, and we can't get mad for things that we didn't know at the time. We didn't have the education, right? So that's why I do a daily show here in the Cabral Concept, is to simply pay it forward. I wish I had this information when I was younger. Now, when I was younger and I was going through this in the mid to later 90s and then into the early 2000s, because it took me 10 years to heal, it should take no one 10 years to heal. The worst of the worst cases, 6 to 12 months. The worst of the worst cases. Okay, so anyway, what I'm looking to do, since my gut will never be back to my innate guts, when I was very, very young, let's see what BP 157 might do for my gut right now. Now, again, I have healthy digestion. I don't have any candida overgrowth. I don't have SIBO. I don't have H. pylori. I don't have parasites. I don't have gut permeability. None of those things. So I'm using this because I would always use it before I would recommend it with a client to see if I can take a healthy gut, maybe even to that next level. So if it works out, I'll give you the exact product and company that I'm using, and I'm going to use it for a trial of about 6 weeks. I might extend it to 8 weeks if I'm feeling benefit and no side effects. All right. So I wanted to share that with you, kind of where I'm moving to. And again, I'm always slow to introduce things or recommend them to you if there's not a lot of human clinical trials that I've already completed, or if there's even long-term data on this. So for right now, the best things that you can do for your gut, we've already talked about before on previous shows. You can find all the gut healing protocols on digestion at stephencabral.com/podcasts, literally free podcasts just scroll through the images and you'll find that particular show topic, or go to stephencabral.com/courses. I have one on healing your gut. Literally, it will condense years of research and work, dozens of books into a 4-hour course that you have lifetime access to and you can enjoy. So, all right, that is that. And I will absolutely keep you updated. I'll be starting in about 2 weeks. So we'll go 6 to 8 weeks. So in a couple months, I'll be back. I'll let you know how it went. All right. Book review of the week. This is something that I've talked about before. I can link up the previous podcast, but this is a book that it's funny. I went back on Amazon. It looks like I purchased it somewhere around 2009, which is hilarious because Amazon keeps all these, purchases. And I actually purchased 2 books. The first one was The Ancient Secret of the Fountain of Youth. Now, pretty amazing title. Who wouldn't want to read that book? That was by Peter Kelder, said to be the first person to introduce this to the US and Western-based cultures. The second book that I read, which was more straightforward and to the point, was called The 5 Tibetans. 5 dynamic exercises for health, energy, and personal power. And I said, all right, let's get both, because I like to deep dive on these topics. I'd done a little research, done a little digging, and pulled these up. Well, the 5 Tibetans are 5 simple, what looks like Qigong or yoga movements that enable, at least anecdotally, people to have more energy, absolutely relieve stiffness and back pain, help improve overall strength and coordination, help to move stagnant lymph, so improves better circulation, can reduce anxiety, maybe help with sleep. I like to do these in the morning. I'll talk about that. And they say a more youthful appearance. We'll see, right? And so again, as we get older, well, we could use all the help we can get, I guess, right? So why am I adding these back in? The reason is that I'm doing my heavy lifting and strength training, which I love. I'm getting in my running. But what I'm not doing, because there's only so many hours in the day, right? I'm not getting in as much of the stretching yoga that I would really like. These 5 Tibetans, though, I've used since call it 2009, for many, many years. And I kind of get into them and then I let them fall away for whoever knows what reason. And then I get back into them again. I'm getting back into them. And here's how I'm going to lock it into my routine. So every morning I do 5 bodyweight exercises. I've talked about this before. And I'm not doing it. I'm doing it to wake the body up, to improve circulation, to move the lymph, and just keep the body strong. But I just do pull-ups, chin-ups, air squats, walking lunges, and I do some type of core movement like a V pose for the abs. For the core, not the abs. And so I do those, again, not to failure, but to get the body awakened for the day. And I really like it. I've done that now for, I don't even know how long, call it 20 plus years. And so what I'm going to do is on the back end of those, or maybe right before I do those, I'm going to do the 5 Tibetans. Now, the 5 Tibetans, as you probably imagine, is only 5 different moves. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to link up both of those Amazon books, but I'm also going to link up it's only a 3-page PDF. Found a 3-page PDF online for you, literally just did a search. And it just, in those 3 pages, it just shows the 5 moves. And they're actually quite simple. One is a swirling pattern that's moving the circulation. They say it works, potentially with the chakras of the body, which is, again, always a hard thing to prove, right? But always nice, like if it's true, well, that'll be pretty amazing. The second one looks almost like a leg raise. Basically, you're raising both legs up while lying on your back, and you're pulling your head up at the same time. So it's definitely angling the body and working on the core, squeezing those core muscles. The next one is the opposite movement. So if you tighten your abs and hip flexors, you're actually on your knees, you put your hands on the back of your hips, and you arch backwards. Now you're opening up your digestive system, your rib cage, and more. Move number 4 is probably going to be the most challenging. You just work up to it. It's essentially a back bend. You might call it a table. There's all sorts of different names for it, but you're getting into a arched position that looks like a back bend where your arms are straight, your arms are straight perpendicular to your body, body's out straight and level, and then legs are coming down at a right angle. So somewhat like a bridge, but you're using your arms as well. And then the 5th move ties everything together, and that is an up and down dog. So basically like a cobra stretch, and then you lift your hips in the air. So those are your 5 movements, and they're meant to be done 5 in a row, and you can repeat it really as many times as you would like. Now, I could give you all the background from where this was learned and from Tibetan monks. They believe over 2,500 years ago, they've been using this to cultivate youthfulness and energy. But again, you can read the books, you can go deep into this if you want. If you do the movements, though, you get the benefits. That's the biggest thing. So up to 21 times you could do this. Am I going to do it 21 times? No. I'm probably going to do it 3 to 5 times, at least initially, and then I might actually add them as a warm-up before my strength training workouts. So I wanted to share that with you. If you're interested, I actually have shared this with many health professionals online, and it stuck with them. Like, they've really enjoyed it. So maybe it's the right fit for you as well. Again, all this will be at the show note links here today. Let's go through our research for the week. So first one, as I've said before, I'm going to be doing a lot more sharing at least once or twice a month on cancer. Most of you know I have a completely free, very detailed plan on natural cancer-based therapies. That's at stephencabral.com/cancer, completely free, no opt-in, no anything. It's just meant to share and to use as you wish. But again, not medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, medical diagnosis. But I also want to share with you the best of natural health. Now, again, when I work with a client or I work with an individual on natural cancer-based support, we're not providing treatment plans. Now, there's so much that we know that does work from a natural health perspective, but I like to give everyone everything at their disposal. So this is a leukemia breakthrough, big breakthrough. A recent study that was led by scientists at Virginia Commonwealth University, Massey, looked at a novel combination therapy that included 2 different type of combination drugs. And it was specifically targeting acute myeloid leukemia, AML, deadly form of cancer. Great to be able to help individuals, especially since they said this combination was more effective than anything else they had ever tried. So here's the combination therapy. And then, of course, I will link it up for you because I know not everyone obviously is dealing with this or has a loved one. But the combination therapy was demonstrating that by combining MCL1 inhibitors with SRC kinase inhibitors led to a substantial increase in what is called apoptosis. And again, if you've been listening to the show, you know that apoptosis is a programmed cell death. Well, the programmed cell death actually occurred in these AML-based cells. So using this combination therapy led to a programming of those cancer cells to die on their own. Pretty great breakthrough. Again, if you're dealing with AML, this might be research that you want to take to your oncologist. All right. And again, I'm an advocate of a fully integrative approach for cancer. That's my approach because unlike heart disease, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and even Alzheimer's caught early, all of those can be reversed naturally, pretty standardly. But if you have stage 3, stage 4 plus cancer, right, then we want to do everything we can to make sure you get the best possible benefit for survival. That's really what it's all about. All right. So research number 2, I think big win, hasn't gone through yet. We've got about how many more weeks? 6 weeks or so. About, 4 to 6 weeks before it officially goes through because it's made its way through the government and is now waiting to be signed by Utah's governor, that's that Boston accent coming out, who is open to signing it. So here's what it is. Utah is poised to become the first state to ban fluoride from their water system. And if you didn't know, about 70% or more of the country's population has fluoridated water. And this bill would outlaw the adding of fluoride to water, and this is a quote, in or intended for public water systems. And it adds that it repeals any previous laws, including sections about providing fluoridated water upon resident request and under emergency circumstances. So although the Governor Cox, I believe, has not publicly stated he's going to sign it, it is believed that it will go into effect starting May 7th. So stay tuned. This is from the Salt Lake Tribune and other reports. You can look this up, of course, for yourself, but I will link to it at stephencabral.com/3332, which is all of today's show notes. That's where the books will be today, the free PDF and much more. And I just want you to know, if you are someone that doesn't really know quite yet the negative consequences of exposure to fluoride, especially over time, in 2 weeks' time, I'll be doing a show on fluoride's hidden side effects that your dentist or doctor is not telling you about. Again, all research-based. I will quote all of the different studies, and then you'll get to decide for yourself. I appreciate every one of you listening and being here to support the Cabral concept and really our shared mission of bringing the best of health and wellness to the world. I'll be back tomorrow answering our community's questions on the Cabral House Calls. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.